When I think about Hollywood's golden age, my mind doesn't go to the tallest, most imposing figures on the screen. It goes to the ones who, despite their modest stature, carried a weight of presence that could move entire audiences. These are the golden age actors who were shockingly short, and their stories feel deeply human to me. Mickey Rooney's boyish smile, Frank Sinatra's commanding voice, Sal Mineo's youthful vulnerability, and Sammy Davis Jr.'s unstoppable rhythm, none of these were measured in inches. They were measured in heart. Many of them lived with the cruel label of too short, often overlooked or underestimated. And yet they rose above it, proving that what lingers in our memory isn't height, but the way someone made us feel. Today, as we honor their memory, we remember them not as short actors, but as giants of the screen whose influence still endures. Their shadows may have been small, but their impact will forever stand tall. Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney stood only 5 feet 2 inches, making him the shortest leading man of Hollywood's golden age. In a business that worshipped tall, commanding figures, this was considered a fatal flaw. Studios often labeled him with 2 crushing words: height problem. But what they couldn't disguise was that Mickey's energy and talent filled every frame. His small stature became his ticket to stardom. MGM used his boyish looks to cast him as Andy Hardy, a teenage dreamer, even though Mickey was already in his 20s. Audiences adored him, and between 1939 and 1941, he was America's #1 box office draw, outselling Clark Gable and Gary Cooper. Hollywood's tricks kept the illusion alive: apple boxes to stand taller, camera angles tilted upward, and carefully chosen co-stars no taller than 5 feet 4 inches. It didn't matter. Rooney carried 16 Hardy films to an adjusted $1.9 billion. But his career had brutal turns. Returning from World War II with a Bronze Star, he was too old to play a boy, yet considered too short to play a man. His salary was slashed, roles vanished, and casting directors repeated the same line: height problem. Still, Rooney refused to vanish. He reinvented himself with gritty supporting parts, twice earning Oscar nominations for weary boxing trainers and hardened mentors. Then came the 1979 masterpiece, The Black Stallion, where his size fit perfectly as a retired jockey. Critics hailed his comeback, and he earned yet another Oscar nod. Off-screen, Rooney battled financial woes and personal struggles, yet his resilience never dimmed. By the time he passed, he had appeared in over 300 films, proving that greatness is not measured in inches, but in legacy. Sammy Davis Jr. When the spotlight hit Sammy Davis Jr., the stage belonged to him. He danced with such speed, sang with such fire, and played the drums with such force that audiences forgot everything else, until the lights came up and they noticed he stood only 5 feet 4 inches tall. At just 4 years old, he joined his father and the Will Maston Trio on stage, a child already keeping time with polished shoes and perfect rhythm. In the 1940s, despite his extraordinary talent, Sammy Davis Jr. still faced the harsh reality of racism in America. It was only later, at the height of his fame, that his contracts demanded integrated audiences and equal treatment. Then tragedy struck. A car crash cost him his left eye. For most, that would have been the end. For Sammy, it was the beginning of legend. On Broadway in Golden Boy, producers feared he looked mismatched beside his tall leading lady. Sammy didn't argue. He doubled his training, demanded lighting that stretched his shadow, and delivered a performance so electrifying it earned him a Tony nomination. Stage tricks followed him: pompadour hair, low camera angles, and raised platforms. but they were never the reason audiences stood and cheered. Over the course of his career, Sammy Davis Jr. released more than 50 albums and appeared in over 20 films, while also becoming a prominent supporter of the civil rights movement. In 1961, he headlined a benefit concert at Carnegie Hall that raised more than $22,000 for Martin Luther King Jr.'s Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Sammy Davis Jr. was more than a star. He was a force of nature. Small in stature, immense in legacy, he proved that courage and versatility could rewrite the rules of Hollywood. James Cagney. James Cagney was officially only 5 feet 5 inches tall, though Warner Brothers publicity often stretched him to 5 feet 9 inches. In an industry that wanted its leading men tall and commanding, his size was labeled a problem. Yet the man who looked small on paper exploded on screen with the energy of a coiled spring. In The Public Enemy, 1931, Cagney stormed across the set, smashing a grapefruit into Mae Clarke's face, a scene that shocked audiences and announced a new kind of star. Cagney fought for respect off-screen too. He repeatedly clashed with Warner Brothers over salary and working conditions, even walking out on contracts and filing lawsuits. In 1932 and again in 1935, he took the studio to court, arguing that Warner Brothers had violated his agreements and underpaid him compared to other stars. Against the odds, Cagney won. By the late 1930s, he had secured higher pay that placed him on the same level as Edward G. Robinson and other top Warner Brothers actors. By the 1940s, he was starring in Yankee Doodle Dandy, transforming into George M. Cohan with tap routines so sharp they won him the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1943. He wasn't just an actor, he was a force who redefined screen power. Ranked by the American Film Institute as the 8th greatest male star of classic Hollywood, Cagney proved that true dominance isn't about towering over others. It's about filling the frame with presence, fire, and authenticity. Edward G. Robinson. He didn't need height to dominate a room. At 5 feet 5 inches, Edward G. Robinson was shorter than many of his co-stars, yet the moment he opened his mouth, the balance of power shifted. His voice, raspy, commanding, unforgettable, became the true measure of his presence. Hollywood first discovered this paradox in Little Caesar, 1931. As Rico Bandello, Robinson turned his modest stature into an advantage. The audience saw a man who was physically small, but so ruthlessly ambitious that nothing could contain him. Critics later noted that the performance helped define the entire gangster genre. Behind the camera, Warner Brothers still worked its tricks. Directors framed Robinson from below, placed taller actors in chairs, and dressed him in vertical pinstripes to elongate his figure. Robinson's career stretched far beyond gangsters. He brought gravitas to classics like Double Indemnity, 1944, and Key Largo, 1948, proving he could shift seamlessly from crime boss to weary detective, from villain to moral compass. In 1973, the Academy honored him with an Oscar for his lifetime contribution to film. Away from the screen, Robinson was as bold as any character he played. He donated more than $250,000 to anti-fascist causes during World War II and built one of Hollywood's greatest private art collections. Short in frame but colossal in legacy, Robinson showed the world that true greatness isn't measured in inches but in impact. Burgess Meredith. Burgess Meredith measured just 5 feet 5.5 inches, yet he carried himself with a force that often dwarfed men much taller. Hollywood soon realized that his height, once seen as a limitation, could be turned into an asset. In Of Mice and Men, 1939, his stature gave authenticity to George, a weary farmhand trapped by circumstance. Decades later, that same quality made him unforgettable as Mickey in Rocky, 1976. His compact frame made the aging boxing trainer feel even more real, and the performance earned him an Academy Award nomination. Behind the camera, studios often used tricks to adjust his presence. He wore elevator shoes or stood on small platforms in roles that required military authority. Directors tilted cameras from below to give him visual dominance when needed. And when playing underdogs, they let his natural size work for him, turning perceived weakness into strength. Meredith's career stretched across every medium. On television, his cackling penguin in the Batman series became a pop culture phenomenon. On film, he proved his range from Shakespeare to crime dramas to sports epics. Through setbacks like the Hollywood blacklist, Meredith never quit. He adapted, thrived, and left behind a body of work that continues to inspire. His life remains proof that greatness on screen has nothing to do with inches. It comes from talent, resilience, and heart. Alan Ladd. Alan Ladd stood about 5 feet 6 inches tall, a fact that Paramount often worked hard to conceal. In an era when leading men were expected to tower, Ladd's modest height posed a problem for the studio, but also sparked some of Hollywood's most creative solutions. His breakthrough came with This Gun for Hire, 1942, where he played a cold, quiet hitman opposite Veronica Lake. At only 4 feet 11 inches, Lake was the perfect screen partner. Together, their pairing looked natural, and audiences were captivated. Ladd's restrained performance, icy eyes, clipped voice, minimal movement, turned his physical stature into a new kind of power, the smaller man who carried enormous menace. For Shane, 1953, trenches were dug on set so that co-stars standing over 6 feet would not overshadow him. Despite the challenges, his achievements were undeniable. Ladd was among the top 10 box office stars throughout the early 1950s, earning as much as $150,000 per film. Shane remains one of the greatest westerns ever made, with his final scene, the lone gunfighter riding into the mountains, etched into American film history. Alan Ladd's legacy lies not in inches, but in unforgettable moments of courage, silence, and style. Charlie Chaplin. Before he even spoke a word on screen, Charlie Chaplin had already built one of the most recognizable figures in cinema history. The bowler hat, the cane, the oversized trousers, and that unforgettable walk. The tramp became a global symbol of laughter and resilience. What few realized at the time was that part of Chaplin's magic came from turning his physical size, just 5 feet 5 inches, into an artistic weapon. When bullies towered over him in Easy Street, audiences didn't see weakness. They saw the spirit of an underdog refusing to bow. Technical tricks weren't needed to disguise him. Directors often pulled the camera back to catch his full movement, letting his acrobatic timing and expressive body speak louder than height. His compact frame actually heightened the poetry of his performances, turning vulnerability into universality. Chaplin's career achievements are staggering. He co-founded United Artists in 1919, ensuring creative freedom rare for any actor. He directed, wrote, scored, and starred in classics from The Kid to Modern Times and The Great Dictator. The Academy awarded him 2 honorary Oscars, including a standing ovation that lasted over 12 minutes in 1972. Away from the screen, Chaplin lived through scandal, exile, and reinvention, settling in Switzerland during the McCarthy era. Yet when he passed in 1977, he left behind not only a body of films, but a philosophy. That cinema could make us laugh, cry, and think all at once. His stature may have been modest, but his shadow stretched across the entire world. Buster Keaton. At just 5 feet 5 inches tall, Buster Keaton was the man who could risk his life for the perfect gag. His compact frame helped him pull off stunts no taller actor would dare attempt. Unlike many contemporaries, Keaton didn't try to hide his height. Directors often surrounded him with imposing figures, making him look like a child lost in a chaotic world. Instead of resisting, he leaned in. His deadpan expression, the great stone face, turned that contrast into comedy gold. In Sherlock Jr., 1924, a deluge from a water tower fractured his neck, though he kept filming, unaware of the injury until years later. His shorter, sturdy build gave him a lower center of gravity, making the falls, flips, and crashes survivable, even if brutal. Keaton's legacy is not only in the danger he embraced, but in the artistry he crafted. He directed, wrote, and starred in masterpieces like The General, 1926, weaving precision stunts into epic storytelling. Off-screen, life was harder. MGM's takeover in 1928 stripped him of creative control, and he struggled personally. Yet, television brought him back in the 1950s, and by the time of his death in 1966, Keaton was celebrated as one of cinema's purest innovators. His height may have been small, but his shadow still looms across every daring stunt in film history. Peter Lorre. Peter Lorre was only 5 feet 5 inches tall, with a round face and a soft voice that seemed far from Hollywood's idea of a leading man. His breakthrough came in Fritz Lang's M, 1931, playing a child murderer whose trembling hands and darting eyes terrified Berlin audiences. In Hollywood, studios leaned into his contrast with larger co-stars. Posters often paired him with the towering Sidney Greenstreet, exaggerating the difference in size to dramatic effect. Cinematographers used low angles and stark lighting to magnify his unsettling aura. His achievements spread across genres. He appeared in Alfred Hitchcock's The Man Who Knew Too Much, 1934, then became a familiar face in American noir and thrillers like The Maltese Falcon, 1941, and Casablanca, 1942. His compact frame allowed him to fade into crowds, only to suddenly command attention with a glance or a whisper. Though typecast at times, he continued working steadily until his death in 1964. Today, Peter Lorre is remembered not for his size, but for redefining villainy, proving that terror could come in a quiet voice and a small frame, leaving a legacy that still haunts cinema. Lou Costello. At 5 feet 7 inches, Lou Costello never fit the image of Hollywood's tall, dashing leading men. But with partner Bud Abbott, he rewrote the rules of comedy and became one of the biggest stars of the 1940s. His height became part of the performance. Next to Abbott's 6 feet 3 inches frame, Costello looked small and slightly awkward, a perfect combination for their legendary Who's First performance. Costello's humor, expressive face, and lightning-fast timing made him unforgettable, even when he was in the shadow of others. Off-camera, there was no need for any gimmicks. Abbott and Costello exploited the contrast, using costumes that hugged Lou's small frame and staging that made the duo's imbalance more apparent. Their film Buck Privates, 1941, made for a modest budget of a few $100,000, grossed over $4 million, and catapulted them to stardom. Lou Costello's legacy lives on as proof that greatness in Hollywood is not measured in inches, but in the laughter and hope left behind. Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart stood between 5 feet 6 inches and 5 feet 8 inches, shorter than the towering image Hollywood preferred for its leading men. Yet through a mix of grit, presence, and timing, he became not only a star, but a legend. His height meant directors had to improvise. When paired with Ingrid Bergman in Casablanca, 1942, who was nearly his height at 5 feet 9 inches in heels, Bogart often stood on a box or sat on a pillow in some shots. His clipped voice, steady gaze, and economical movements created a larger-than-life impression no camera trick could manufacture. In 1951, he won the Academy Award for Best Actor for The African Queen. By the time of his death in 1957, he had appeared in over 70 films and was ranked by the American Film Institute as the first greatest male star of classic Hollywood cinema. Off-screen, Bogart lived with the same intensity. His stormy but enduring marriage to Lauren Bacall became a symbol of golden age romance. To this day, Humphrey Bogart's name defines film noir itself, proof that screen immortality has nothing to do with inches and everything to do with presence. Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman, born in 1937, broke into Hollywood at only 5 feet 6 inches tall, a height that many casting directors once considered unfit for leading men. But instead of hiding it, he leaned into roles where vulnerability became power. His breakthrough came in The Graduate, 1967, where his boyish looks and modest stature made Benjamin Braddock a perfectly believable recent college graduate, awkward, insecure, and relatable to millions of young Americans. Hoffman went on to win 2 Academy Awards for Best Actor, one for Kramer vs. Kramer, 1979, and another for Rain Man, 1988. His career includes defining roles in Midnight Cowboy, Tootsie, and Marathon Man, making him one of the most versatile actors of his generation. Off-screen, Hoffman has been vocal about the struggles of being an unconventional leading man, often reflecting on how Hollywood's obsession with image almost sidelined him. Yet his persistence reshaped the standard. He proved that presence, honesty, and talent can tower higher than height ever could. Danny Kaye. Danny Kaye, born in 1911, stood about 5 feet 7 inches shorter than the towering figures Hollywood often preferred for leading men. But Kaye never built his career on height. He built it on boundless energy. From the moment he hit the stage, his frenetic movements, rapid-fire songs, and rubber-faced expressions made him unforgettable. His breakthrough came with Up in Arms, 1944, where audiences first saw his ability to switch between comedy, dance, and music in a single breath. His short stature seemed to make his leaps higher, his gestures broader, his humor sharper. Kaye's career flourished across multiple arenas. He starred in The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, 1947, Hans Christian Andersen, 1952, and White Christmas, 1954. Off-screen, he was also a humanitarian, serving as UNICEF's first Goodwill Ambassador in 1954, a role that earned him global admiration. Audiences never cared about inches. They cared about the man who could make them laugh, cry, and believe in magic. George Raft. George Raft, born in 1901, measured about 5 feet 7 inches, though publicity sometimes stretched him taller. Like many of his contemporaries, Raft faced an industry that equated height with power, especially for tough guy roles. But Raft had something else, a dancer's grace and a gangster's edge. His breakout performance came in Scarface, 1932, where his simple act of flipping a coin became one of cinema's most chilling trademarks. Though he wasn't physically imposing, directors leaned into camera angles and tailored costumes to give him presence. Throughout the 1930s and 1940s, Raft headlined films like Each Dawn I Die, 1939, and They Drive By Night, 1940, holding his own against taller co-stars like Humphrey Bogart and Edward G. Robinson. He became synonymous with the gangster archetype, suave, dangerous, but always magnetic. Off-screen, Raft's life mirrored the underworld roles he played. His friendships with real gangsters shadowed his reputation, yet his influence on film noir was undeniable. Sal Mineo. Sal Mineo, born in 1939, stood only 5 feet 6 inches tall, a modest height that fit perfectly with the roles that made him famous. He burst into stardom with Rebel Without a Cause, 1955, playing. The role earned him an Academy Award nomination at just 16 years old. Hollywood often paired him with youthful parts because his height and delicate appearance emphasized innocence. He later earned a second Oscar nomination for Exodus, 1960, proving he was more than a one-role wonder. Off-screen, Mineo's life was complex. Typecasting limited his career as he grew older, and he struggled to transition into adult roles. Yet, he never stopped pursuing challenging projects, turning to stage work and television to reinvent himself. His tragic murder in 1976 cut short a career that had already left an indelible mark. Sal Mineo showed that even a small presence could burn brightly on the biggest stage. Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra, born in 1915, stood about 5 feet 7 inches tall, not short by everyday standards, but considered small next to the tall leading men of Hollywood's golden age. Sinatra's voice, smooth, emotional, and commanding, made him larger than life. His acting career soared with From Here to Eternity, 1953, where he played Angelo Maggio, a scrappy soldier whose defiance and vulnerability won Sinatra an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. Throughout his career, directors occasionally boosted his height with props or framing, but audiences never cared. Sinatra's charisma filled every room, from concert halls to film sets. Beyond Hollywood, he released dozens of albums, won 11 Grammys, and became an icon of American music and style. By the time of his passing in 1998, he was more than a star. He was a legend. Sinatra proved that greatness is not measured in inches, but in influence that echoes for generations. In the glittering world of classic cinema, tall leading men often symbolized power and romance. Yet history reminds us that some of the most enduring legends were far smaller in stature. These were the golden age actors who were shockingly short, men like Mickey Rooney, James Cagney, Frank Sinatra, and many others who turned supposed limitations into triumphs. Their voices, their presence, and their artistry filled theaters around the world, proving that greatness on screen was never about height, but about heart, resilience, and undeniable talent. They shaped genres, won awards, and left behind legacies that still inspire audiences today. As we pay tribute to these remarkable stars, let us remember that their influence continues to shine brightly across generations. If you enjoy this journey of remembrance, make sure to like, share, comment, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next celebration of Hollywood's finest.